Okay, this is actually going to be Jeremiah chapter 3.
If a man divorces his wife and she leaves him and marries another man, should he return to her again? Will not the land be completely defiled? But you have lived as a prostitute with many lovers. Would you now return to me, declares the Lord? Look up the barren heights and see. Is there any place where you have not been ravished? By the roadside, you sat waiting for lovers, sat like a nomad in the desert. You have defiled the land with your prostitution and wickedness. Therefore, the showers have been withheld, and no spring rains have fallen. Yet you have the brazen look of a prostitute. You refuse to blush with shame. Have you not just called to me, my father, my friend from my youth? Will you always be angry? Will your wrath continue forever? This is how you talk, but you do all the evil you can. Ooh, goodness gracious. There's a lot here, okay? A lot here. This is, again, a lot of this is multiple meanings, just like Isaiah. Just like Isaiah. There's so many meanings, and they're all lead to the same thing, but it's all okay. So listen to what he's saying. But you have lived as a prostitute with many lovers. Would you now return to me, declares the Lord? And so what he's talking about is during this time when things would get bad for Israel, when the Philistines would attack, when Assyria would attack, when Edom would, whatever. Instead of relying on the Lord, they would go to Egypt. They would go back in Kings. I mean, it's a lot of it's there where they would send payments for help, even to the king of Assyria, saying, "Hey, when Judah was being attacked by Israel, they were like, remember, they're part of the same kingdom, but they were split in two. Judah was like, break your pact with Israel, and so that way they can stop attacking us. And so we're going to send you payment. At no time did they seek the Lord. And so the Lord watched it. The Lord saw it happen. You know, the Lord sees things in time play out, but he knows they're going to happen. So he has a plan. He always has a plan. He always has a plan because he is the Alpha and the Omega. He is the beginning and the end. So he's already knows everything that's going to happen. He's the only one that knows everything. There is no other timeless thing. There's only God. So when it comes to Israel, here he is telling them time and time again, you have relied on other things, other nations, other gods, continually. And every time you're saved, you go right back onto it. And then occasionally you do come to me. You're like, please help. You're our God. And I help you. And then you go right back to worshiping idols. You go right back to relying on other nations. Almost immediately. So here is the Lord through Jeremiah telling them. And also understanding that he is the Father. He's saying, you haven't turned to me. Why haven't you turned to me? I am here. You can always turn to me. He's always has his hands out. But the people during that time have their arms not out. They have their eyes shut, everything. They have their backs turned. They're not seeking the Lord. Bringing past to present. A lot here. A lot to think about. So, bringing past to present. When we try things, and I've talked about this before too, when we try things over and over again, it doesn't seem to turn out right. Do we blame ourselves? Do we blame others? Do we start the blame game? Or do we seek the Lord and his guidance? No matter what it is, you may think it's simple. Oh, the Lord doesn't. It's just putting this and this together. here's the instructions and I'm follow the instructions in all things. In all things. I know it's difficult to think about that because it's like, I know how to tie my shoe. Absolutely. Absolutely. I bet you know how to stand up. But what happens when that shoelace fails? When the shoe fails? There's a lot of things that we don't think about. I have no the shoelace. I'll just run to the store. There's a lot of things, various things that could happen that we don't often think about. But the Lord knows already. Before we go on, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel and what does it make you think?